and it's called out of range types. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of our animated items here. So if I just bring up my layer manager, go into my rig objects, I should be able to select absolutely everything in the rig, and I'll unhide anything that's hidden. And the only thing I don't need to select is the character master. We're going to get to that shortly. And then just click this button here, which is select highlighted. And so what you'll see now is I've got everything that I animated in the cycle. I'm going to bring up my curve editor, which is going to look very busy, as you can see. But I can highlight all of the key frames in the whole character, go into Edit, Controller, Out of Range Types. And by default, the range types of the keyframes is set to constant, which means once an animation reaches a specific pose or something like that, it stays in that pose position and it goes out to infinity in a constant direction. What I want to do is change this to relative repeat, which will loop the animation, but it will loop it based on where it was when it finished the last loop. And you can see by the little diagram what that basically means. And so if I go OK, what we should get is this, where our 24 frame animation is just repeated over and over and over again. And that's exactly what we want. By using relative repeat, it literally takes the 24 frame loop, it dumps the 0 frame on top of the 24th frame, and then it dumps the 0 frame on top of the 48th frame. And that way we don't get that little pause that we see in the reference. 0 becomes 24 instead of going slightly after it, and it works perfectly. So I'm now just going to go into my time configuration down here, and I'm going to type in a 0 into length and go OK. So now I've got 240 frames on my timeline, and basically if I press play, it should animate for 240 frames, and it should work perfectly. Now to really test that, I can go to frame 240 and use the same rock using greater than less than. I can rock between 240 and 0 and nothing should change, and that's perfect. So the only thing left to do now is to grab our master character controller, and if that's hidden for you, we did hide it earlier, just go into your rig options and make sure it's unhidden. So all we need to do is, I'm just going to go to a little bit of a wider view, switch on auto key, go to frame 240, grab that master character controller and drag it forward. Now, it doesn't really matter how far because we're going to fine tune it shortly, but notice what will happen if I go to a left view. He will take a bit of time to get up to speed